Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. Thanks so much for joining us today.
We're all about reflecting the timeless truth of the Bible through the lens of today's world, making it relatable, understandable, and alive for your everyday life.
We're excited to dive into today's verses with fresh insights. Let's jump right in.
Boom! Welcome back to the deeper dive on Bible in a Year, making it easier to understand. I'm your host, John, and I am absolutely hyped today. Seriously, if you've been following along, we have hit the moment where the slow burn of Genesis finally explodes. We are on day 16, and guys, we aren't just reading verses. We are walking into a high-stakes psychological thriller. We're covering Genesis 42 through the first half of 45.
He's not kidding, everyone. I'm Stephanie, and I have been knee-deep in the research for this one since 5 a.m. John, the emotional weight here is almost unbearable. We are moving from the pit to the palace, but now the pit and the palace are finally colliding in the same room. It's like the ultimate long game story where the past finally catches up to the present.
It is the definition of a payback scenario, but with a twist you wouldn't expect. Imagine the person you betrayed, the person you literally sold into human trafficking and told your grieving dad was torn to shreds by a wolf, is now the guy who holds the keys to the world's only food supply. And you're standing right in front of him, starving.
And that's the big question for today, right? Is it payback or is it something else? Before we get into the I am Joseph moment, we have to set the stage. We're in the middle of a massive famine. And John, I know you were digging into the historical context. This wasn't just a bad harvest in Canaan, was it?
No way. This was a regional catastrophe. Archaeological records like the famine stela on Sehel Island describe a 7-year famine where the Nile failed to rise. Climatological studies actually point to this period being a disaster for the entire Mediterranean. We're talking about the Levant wasting away, city-states in Syria being destroyed. It was basically the ancient version of an apocalypse.
And Egypt was the only place that had a plan. Joseph, now 37 years old, because we know he was 30 when he stood before Pharaoh and we're 2 years into the famine, is the vizier. In the Egyptian court, that title was Zaphnath-Paneah.
Wait, stop. Let's look at that name for a second. It's a hidden gem in the Hebrew. Some scholars say it means the God speaks and he lives, but a very popular ancient interpretation is revealer of secrets. Think about the modern mirror here, Steph. He's the guy who has been given the security clearance to see what nobody else sees. He's got the master admin password to the empire's resources.
And he looks the part. Listeners, imagine the brothers walking in. They are dusty, bearded, wearing shepherd's clothes from Canaan. They walk into this massive, cold marble hall and see a man sitting on a throne. He is clean-shaven, which was the Egyptian standard. He's wearing fine linen that's so thin it's almost transparent, a gold chain of office, and probably that heavy black coal eye paint.
He looks like he's from another planet. He's gone through a total rebrand, and he's speaking through an interpreter, even though we know he understands Hebrew perfectly. He's using linguistic distance as a protocol tool. He hears them whisper to each other in their native tongue while he sits there like a bot who doesn't understand. It's the ultimate eavesdrop.
But why, John? Why the harshness? The text says in Genesis 42 verse 7 that he recognized them but treated them as strangers and spoke harshly. He calls them spies. Why not just say, "Hey guys, it's me, let's get lunch"?
Because he's running a character audit. Here's the deal. Joseph hasn't seen these guys in 20 years. The last time he saw them, they were trying to decide whether to kill him or sell him. He needs to know if the men standing in front of him are still those same toxic siblings or if they've actually grown. He's using ormah, shrewdness.
Ormah. I love that. In Proverbs, that word is often translated as prudence or good judgment. It's not about being mean. It's about being strategically wise to get to the truth. Imagine if he had just revealed himself immediately. They would have bowed out of fear, not out of true change. He's basically putting them in a simulation of their past crime to see how they react.
Exactly. It's the Egyptian matrix. He's controlling every variable. He accuses them of being spies, meregalim, which was a terrifying charge back then. It forces them to cough up details about their family. We are 12 brothers. One is no more, and the youngest is with our father.
One is no more. That must have stung Joseph to hear. They're standing right in front of the one who is no more, and they still can't say his name. It's like they've deleted him from their family hard drive.
But the hard drive is about to crash, Steph. He throws them in prison for 3 days. And what happens? They start talking to each other. They say, surely we are being punished because of our brother. This is huge. Their conscience is finally online. After 20 years of repression, the check engine light of their soul is finally blinking red.
It's so interesting that they immediately connect their current trouble to what they did to Joseph. They don't say, man, this Egyptian official is a jerk. They say, we did this to ourselves 20 years ago. That's the test of reminder. Sometimes God allows us to go through false accusations just to remind us of the true accusations we've been ignoring in our own hearts.
Whoa, that's a modern mirror right there. We think we're being treated unfairly today, but maybe it's just a megaphone God is using to wake up a conscience that's been asleep since the 90s.
And then Joseph does the silver sting. He sells them the grain, but he secretly puts their silver, their kesef, back in their bags. Now, listeners, remember why they sold Joseph? For 20 pieces of silver. Now, silver is mentioned 20 times in these chapters. It is the trigger word for their guilt.
He's literally throwing their blood money back in their faces to see if it still has a hold on them. He's testing their honesty. If they find the money, will they report it or pocket it? It's a character diagnostic disguised as a grocery trip.
And they are terrified. When they find it, they don't say score. They say, what is this that God has done to us? Their view of God is still purely about judgment. They haven't reached the grace part of the story yet. They're still stuck in the accountability phase.
Because you can't have true grace without accountability, Steph. Joseph isn't just being a detective for fun. He's trying to save his family from the famine of the soul that's been starving them for 2 decades.
I see what you did there. But seriously, the tension is through the roof. They have to go back to Jacob with no Simeon, because Joseph kept him as collateral and a bag full of stolen money. Jacob's reaction is just heartbreaking. You have bereaved me. Joseph is gone. And now you want Benjamin?
Jacob is the original trauma survivor who's just trying to hold on to the last piece of his heart. But the famine doesn't care about his feelings. The grain runs out. They have to go back. And this is where we see the first sign of a leader emerging. Reuben tries to step up, but he fails. He tells his dad, kill my 2 sons if I don't bring Benjamin back.
I mean, talk about a red flag, John. That is a terrible negotiation tactic. Hey, Dad, if I lose your favorite grandson, you can kill your other 2 grandsons. Who does that? It's just Christian Esau for I'm desperate and I have no real plan.
Exactly. But Judah is different. He says, I will be the guarantee for him. He takes personal responsibility. He's not offering someone else's life. He's offering his own. And that is the shift that changes everything.
We have to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to look at the dinner party from hell, how Joseph uses a seating chart to absolutely freak his brothers out.
And we'll look at why Joseph had to go full detective with that silver cup. Don't go anywhere! And we are back. You are hanging with John and Stephanie on the Deeper Dive. And let me tell you, if the first segment was a psychological thriller, this next part is a full-blown modern mirror heist movie.
It really is. Listeners, we are jumping into Genesis 43 and 44. The brothers have finally convinced Jacob to let them take Benjamin back to Egypt. They are walking into the lion's den, carrying double the money to pay back the mistake from last time, and some fancy local gifts like pistachios and almonds.
Pistachios! I love that detail. It's like bringing a box of artisanal chocolates to the guy who literally controls the world's grain supply. But they get there, and instead of being thrown into the God Mobile headquarters jail, which is what they expect, Joseph invites them to his house for lunch.
This is what I call the dinner party from hell. Imagine you're called into the CEO's office. You think you're getting fired because you found a bunch of company money in your car. But when you walk in, there's a 5-course catered meal and the CEO is smiling at you. It is incredibly sus.
Total sus behavior. The brothers are so stressed they try to explain the money to the steward at the door. They're like, look, man, no cap. We found the silver in our bags. We don't know how it got there. And the steward, who is clearly the best wingman in history, says, peace to you. Your God and the God of your father has given you treasure.
And then Joseph walks in. And here's the modern mirror moment I want to dive into, John. The seating chart.
Oh, this is the best part. He seats all 11 brothers around the table, but he doesn't just sit them anywhere. He seats them exactly according to their birth order, from the oldest down to the youngest.
Now, let's look at the statistics of that. The odds of guessing the exact birth order of 11 brothers is 1 in 39,916,800. It is virtually impossible. The text says the men looked at one another in amazement. In plain English, they were absolutely mind-blown. It's like if a stranger met you and correctly guessed your social security number, your childhood pet's name, and your favorite pizza topping in 10 seconds.
He's basically doxing their family tree in real time. But why? He's verifying that they are who they say they are. But then comes the real character diagnostic. He serves the food, and he gives Benjamin, the new favorite, 5 times more than everyone else.
This is the ultimate vibe check. Remember, these guys sold Joseph because they were jealous of a coat. Now they're watching their youngest brother get a 5-star meal while they're eating standard rations. Joseph is watching to see if the green-eyed monster of jealousy is going to rear its head again.
And they pass. The text says they drank and were merry with him. No jealousy, no side-eye, no complaining in the group chat afterward. They're just happy to be together and eating. They've grown.
But the admin isn't done with the audit yet. He lets them leave, but he hides his personal silver cup in Benjamin's bag. This is the sting operation. He wants to see what they will do when Benjamin is the one in trouble. Will they abandon the favorite again?
This is main character energy at its peak. The brothers are heading home, probably high-fiving, thinking they survived the trip. And then, boom, the Egyptian police pull them over. They search the bags. They start with the oldest. Suspense is building. And then they get to the youngest. And there's the cup.
And here is the glow-up of the soul, listeners. 20 years ago, they would have said, "Sucks to be you, Ben," and kept walking. But in Genesis 44, verse 13, it says they all tore their clothes. They don't leave him. They all go back to face the music together.
They are standing before Joseph, and this is where Judah, the guy who originally had the idea to sell Joseph, steps up. He doesn't make excuses. He says, "How can we clear ourselves? God has found out the guilt of your servants." He's not talking about the cup. He's talking about the hidden sin from 2 decades ago.
And then comes the biggest modern mirror of the whole story. Joseph tells them, "Look, I'm not a monster. Only the guy with the cup has to stay as my slave. The rest of you, you're free. Go home to your dad."
It's a get-out-of-jail-free card. He's giving them permission to be toxic again. He's offering them a way out that involves 0 personal sacrifice.
But Judah says no. He gives this incredible emotional speech. He tells Joseph how much their father loves Benjamin. He says that if Benjamin doesn't come home, Jacob will literally die of grief. And then he says the words that changed the world. "Now, therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a servant to my Lord."
That is a substitutionary sacrifice. That is the moment Joseph was waiting for. He sees a brother willing to give up his own life for the sake of the father's heart and the brother's safety.
It's the ultimate receipt of a changed heart. Judah isn't a grammar corrector in the group chat anymore. He's the guy jumping on the grenade.
We're going to take one last break, but when we come back, the mask comes off. We're going to look at the I am Joseph moment and how God uses our biggest failures to create life-preserving platforms.
And we'll talk about why you might need a Goshen strategy for your own life. Stay tuned.
And we are back. If you are just joining us, you have missed a full-on heist movie and a psychological profile. But we are at the finish line now. I'm John, and I'm here with the heart of the show, Stephanie.
I don't know about being the heart, but I definitely have the tissues ready for this part. Listeners, we are in Genesis 45, and we are about to witness the greatest reveal in the history of literature. Judah has just offered his own life to save Benjamin, and the tension in that room is so thick you couldn't cut it with a pharaoh's sword.
It's the point of no return. Joseph has been playing this admin character for weeks, speaking through interpreters, acting like a cold Egyptian official. But when he sees Judah's transformation, when he sees that his brothers would rather be slaves themselves than hurt their father again, the mask finally cracks.
The text says Joseph could no longer control himself. He literally breaks character in front of everyone. He yells to his guards, "Make everyone go out from me." He wants privacy for this family moment. He doesn't want the professional world of Egypt to see the personal mess of his family reconciliation.
And then he just lets it out. He weeps so loud that the people in the next building can hear him. The Bible says Pharaoh's household heard it. This isn't just a polite cry. This is a gut-wrenching release of 20 years of abandonment, loneliness, and survival.
And then he says the words. In Hebrew, no interpreter, just his raw native tongue. I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? John, the brothers, they don't cheer. They don't hug him. They are dismayed.
Dismayed is a polite way of saying they were terrified for their literal lives. Think about it from their perspective. They just found out the guy who has the power to execute them is the same guy they tried to murder. They are looking for the exit sign, but Joseph says, "Come near to me."
He wants community, not retribution. And then he gives them the theological key to his entire life. He says, do not be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life.
This is the core of the deeper dive today. The word for preserve life is machyah.
Okay, 5th grade rule time. What does machyah mean in plain English?
It means sustenance or a remnant of life. Joseph is saying, you intended to cancel me, but God commandeered your evil and turned it into a life-saving resource for the whole world. He's not saying what they did was okay. He explicitly mentions that they sold him, but he's saying God is a master weaver who used their tangled mess to make a safety net.
It's so Christ-like, John. For our modern seekers listening, if you want to see a preview of Jesus, look at Joseph. Both were beloved sons rejected by their own. Both were sold for silver. Both were raised from the pit to save the very people who put them there. Joseph provided physical bread in a famine. Jesus provides the bread of life for our spiritual famine.
Boom! It's a masterclass in what theologians call typology. And then Pharaoh, who clearly has a man crush on Joseph because he's done such a good job, gets the news. He doesn't just allow the family to come. He sponsors the whole move. He says, take the Egyptian wagons. Bring your dad. Don't worry about your stuff in Canaan, because the best of all the land of Egypt is yours.
I love the Goshen strategy here. John, why did God want them in Goshen specifically?
Because shepherds were an abomination to the Egyptians. Goshen was the best pasture land, but it was also separated. Think of it as a greenhouse. God was putting his people in a place where they could grow from a family of 70 into a nation of millions without blending in to the pagan culture of Egypt.
It's like God said, I'll give you the best real estate, but I'll also give you a social distancing barrier to keep your identity intact.
Exactly. And we can't end today without a pop culture alert. For all our The Chosen fans out there, there is a brand new series coming in 2026 called Joseph of Egypt. It's produced by Dallas Jenkins and Amazon MGM Studios.
And Shahar Isaac, who plays Simon Peter in The Chosen, is slated to be in it. I am so hyped. Seeing this high-stakes emotional reveal on screen is going to be incredible. But for now, we have the text.
Here is your text message summary for day 16. Your past pits are often the platforms God uses to provide for your future.
I love that. So, what is our action step for today, John?
Here's the deal. Identify one grievance or pit from your past that you're still bitter about. Ask God to show you the machyah, the life-preserving purpose. He might be weaving into the background. Trust that he is commandeering that pain for a future purpose.
And maybe call your brother, just to say hi, without the interrogation.
Yes, do that. We'll be back tomorrow to see the final tear-filled reunion between Jacob and Joseph. You do not want to miss it.
See you then.
Boom. Peace out.
That's a wrap on today's podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us and diving deep with us.
We truly value your time and love walking through these chapters together. Your support means the world.
If you've enjoyed this episode, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a day. Drop a comment below. We'd absolutely love to hear how Modern Mirrors is opening your eyes to the text in fresh ways.
Join us tomorrow for another inspiring journey into the Word of the Lord. Until then, God bless you abundantly.